Firstly, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. Okay, excuse my room, a bit messy. Excuse this. I was going to make this a bit more professional and maybe get better lighting and blah blah blah, but I thought I wanted to have a chill day, so I've done nothing today. It's my day off. Okay. So the video today is basically just a quick little summary of, I've had a lot of questions and I've had a lot of people messaging me. Believe it or not, I've had a lot of people either DMing me or on Twitter or Instagram send me pictures from seeing the pictures from me and Luna and saying, oh, I really want a husky, I really want to get a dog like that, and then they've actually gone and got one because of that. I'm not saying it is because of me, but I'm just saying it's come to my attention that a few people have gotten huskies, and I just wanted to, I've made some notes. I should mention as well, I'm not a behaviour expert or anything. I don't have any qualifications, this is just my personal opinion. I'm sure there's people out there that have obviously qualifications and they know a lot more about the breed than I do. I've only had one husky, I've only had Luna. I have worked in an animal rescue shelter for a year and a half. I've had first-hand experience with the dogs, but by all means I'm not an expert. My worry is that people, when they see something that they like online, whether it be a dog or a kitten or something that they admire, and they think, oh, I want that, I want to have that, and they don't really think about the consequences and the actual hard work that goes in with it. For those of you that may or may not know, I work at the ManxSPCA here on the Isle of Man. I have just gone from animal care officer to PR and fundraiser coordinator. When I was an animal care officer, I was working in the kennels, so I've seen a whole range of dogs that have come in for rehoming. I'd have to confirm just with everyone at work, but I think I'm safe to say that huskies or that kind of breed, or Akitas or anything like that, have been especially up there this year for the most rehomed. We've had about, I think on the top of my head, we've had about 7, which you say that's quite not for the Isle of Man, considering the amount of dogs that we rehomed during the year. Just for that oh my god, why can I say that word? Specific breed, that's quite high. And I'm not saying that it's down to this reason or the other reason, it could just be a coincidence. However, I think it's from my personal opinion, it's from the uprise from the likes of Game of Thrones. You've got the wolves in there, and people are like, oh, I want to get a wolf. They were like the latest trend from like 2016 to 2017, and now these people have had them for either a year or 2 or however long. Obviously every single case is different, and I'm not suggesting that every single case was because of this, but maybe I'm just creating a link there. But for me, it's because I'll admit it, when I watched Game of Thrones, the first thing I seen when I seen those wolves, especially as puppies, was I want one of them. And that's not saying that's what I've done. But before I got Luna, I was very interested in the breed anyway. I just knew I wanted, if I was going to get another dog, I just wanted to get either a husky or a German shepherd. So before I did, I actually did some research. Now, I'm not saying all these people that have got huskies and then put them up for rehoming, I'm not saying that it's any of their fault. However, they're not your standard dog, and I think a lot of people need to realise that they are hard work, and there is a lot of things that come with them that I'm not saying I didn't know everything that came with it. She's hard work, and if it wasn't for the fact that I still live with my mum, I probably wouldn't be able to keep her. I probably wouldn't have gotten her in the first place. But for example, depending on preference, you're supposed to brush huskies, not bathe them. Sorting out my hair. I am sorry again for the lack of professionalism in this video, but I feel like I'm getting comfortable now on YouTube, and I can just sit with a face mask. It's not even a face mask, an eye mask, which are from Patchology. This isn't a sponsored video. I want people to understand. Obviously, like I've said in previous videos, one of the main reasons why people watch is for my dog. I'm not silly. Why I've got so many followers on Instagram, mainly because my dog. Twitter, same thing. So I'm not oblivious to the fact that if I didn't have a dog, I probably wouldn't have this much exposure that I do have. So I'm trying to at least educate people that are interested in the breed to know that it's not as easy as you think it is. Obviously, with any dog, it's like a big commitment, but I think the main things that you need to the main things that you need to consider when getting a husky is the fact, even though the most common thing is that they shed, I was under the impression that they shed twice a year coming into the seasonal change. Obviously when it gets hot, blah blah blah, the fur changes just like some long-haired dogs. No. Well, obviously I can only speak for my dog, but she sheds all the way through the year. Obviously when there's 2 points when the seasonal change, that it is at her peakest, so she'll lose all of her fur in kind of in one go, but throughout the year I'd probably say she sheds like pretty much all the time. I constantly have to brush her, me and my mum as well. She does a lot for me. We have to give her a good brush maybe once a week just to keep on top of it all. If you don't, it will then get clumpy and matted, and that's where things can get tricky. Luna, again, I can only talk about mine, but from all the huskies that I've worked with at the ManxSPCA, from maybe -2 of these, I know a lot of them are very, very vocal. They're very much, when they want your attention, they'll scream or they'll howl. They're very clever dogs, and they're the closest thing to the wolf, so they're very much, they can be quite primal, so they're very much, yeah, so they're very, very vocal. Luna, for instance, she's mainly vocal if she needs the toilet, so she will basically come up to me, maybe it could be any time in the morning, it could be 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and she'll nudge me with her nose first, and then she'll do a little whine, and then she'll yelp. When she gets too excited, if she's playing with me, and she'll freeze like dogs do, and then they'll kind of go for their next like move because they're playing, then she'll let out a little bark there. But apart from that, she's quite quiet, which we're quite lucky for, especially when we first got her. Our neighbours were jokingly saying that, oh, you know, can we expect howls through the night? And to be honest, she used to do it when she was a puppy, but now she's kind of grown out of it. I'm not saying all huskies do, however, mine has. All dogs can do this, but again, this is going back to the fact that huskies are one of the most closest breed to the original wolf. Obviously that's where they descended from. They can be quite defensive. A lot of husky dogs that I've worked with this year, again, not all of them, but most have had defensive qualities. So if Luna has, I can kind of, obviously if you're an owner you'll know as well, so if she has something that I know she really, really likes, I just leave her to it, I don't go near her. She's never gone for me, or she's never done anything, but there's a look in her eye. Everything else, I'm trying to think what it is. I think it's a bone, so if she has a bone or food, then I don't really go anywhere near her. Toys or anything like that, or bottles, I can pretty much take it out of her hand. I don't suggest that. Obviously you know your own dogs. Again, I didn't do that with the rescue dogs, they're very much different. However, again, going back to the fact they've originated from a wolf, they've obviously come from a pack. Huskies tend to choose their person, so I think it's tricky if you were to ask me and my mum who is Luna's person. I'm not sure, so whenever I go away to see Jack, I know Mum always says that she whines for me and she's always looking for me, and she always, like, you know, she panics just if I'm not there. I don't know if she'll do that with Mum, I'd imagine so. It is just me and my mum in the house, so I'd say that we're both of her person. But if you have a large family, and if you're from a large family and you get a husky dog as a puppy, most likely, again, all dogs do this, but mainly huskies, they do attach to one person, and depending on who that person is, they can get quite defensive of that person as well. So again, when Jack comes over to stay, if we're having a play fight or whatever, if we're... Hang on, let me word it. Because my mum's watching this. Yeah, so say if me and Jack are messing around, if we're like fighting or anything, she will, depending on who's doing the most damage, Luna will intervene, and I don't know many other dogs that do that. I've had 2 previous dogs before, and none of them were really quite invested in me as Luna is. Going back to the pack thing, I feel like you'll need to be the more dominant member of the pack. If you let your husky get away with stuff, they will continue to do that. Luna does challenge both me and my mum sometimes, and I think we have to show her that we are the ones in charge and not her. Sometimes I think she forgets that. Another thing that I feel like, because they have so much energy, they're working dogs, they don't really like to be left that long on their own. Again, I wouldn't have gotten Luna if I was living on my own, because the hours at the time that I was working as an animal care officer was, excuse me, quite a lot, including weekends, so I couldn't really, if it was just me living on my own, I couldn't, oh my god, I've got the bibs. Oh my god, what's wrong? I've had too much cake and burping. What was I saying? Oh my god, this video is just a mess. So basically, make sure you have plenty of time. Make sure you have plenty of time for your husky, especially as a puppy, because that's where they learn a lot, just like all dogs. Another thing that I should mention is that if it's yours, then it's theirs. They don't really have a concept of that's their humans' items. That's if it's there in front of them and they can chew it, then they'll have it. I've lost art pads, I've lost my yearbook to it. She's completely destroyed my yearbook. Today, for instance, it's our tax rebate, so our tax forms had to be in. I think the deadline's tomorrow, and I left mine on the side here ready to do, and I came home and it was shredded. I couldn't find it, and then the reason I couldn't find it was because it was all shredded on the floor. I mean, I'm kind of pointing out all the negative things about huskies, but I just want people to be aware of them, because the last thing I want to see is, I mean, I don't know what goes on in other animal rescue shelters, but it really upsets me, especially when a husky comes in, because I know how much of a companion they are. So it's hard for me to see, especially people that give up on any dog, not just huskies, but any dog. But I know, disclaimer, that sometimes things happen in your life and you can't do anything about it, but sometimes there are cases that I see that I think that without sounding mean, is that I think people could try harder. What I'll end things on is basically that Luna especially is, I know it's such a cliche, but she is such a character, and I'm sure anyone that has a husky will know what I'm talking about. They're just so funny, and they are, as I said, they're part of your family. I know all dogs are, but there's like a pack, and I've had dogs in the past. I've had 2 dogs in the past, and although I love them to death, it's not quite the same, and I'm not favoritising. I love all my animals that I've had equally, but there's just something about her that makes me more connected with her, and I don't know, maybe that's just me, I'm not too sure, but I think that they do make an amazing, they're not just pets, they're basically not even family, it's like a companion, and I think especially if you're the chosen person, then I think once they've chosen you, that's it. So, and I think that, I want to try and, I say that I want to try and put stop to dogs getting rehomed. It's going to happen regardless of what I do, but I just want to make people aware that if you are really, really serious about getting a husky dog, is that please do your research. I can't push that enough. You think, oh, I'm just going to get a dog, I'm going to get a husky because it's got lovely blue eyes and it's got white, it's got white fur and blah blah blah, and it's got lovely markings. Yeah, they do have all of those nice qualities, but there is so much that comes with them that they do take up a lot of your time. There was, especially in the beginning, you had to, even now my entire life revolves around Luna. Hopefully I've covered basically the main aspects of having a husky. By all means, if you think there's anything that I've missed, if you have one for yourself, or if you want any information about it, I suggest Googling it and do your research. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get one. What I am saying is that they are an amazing companion and an amazing family member. However, just like any family member, sometimes there is a bit of work that has to be put into it, if I'm going to be honest. And I know it sounds I'm trying to big them up to be like this baddie that you can't get. I'm not saying that at all. They are lovely dogs. I've never had a problem with huskies at all. So there is a lot there, and hopefully there will be something. Do you know what? I've just realised I've had these on the entire time, so if I just peel these off. it should really, in theory, it should leave my skin like, oh yes! Look at that skin glow. I think I've covered the majority of what I wanted to discuss. For my next video, I want to, sorry by the way that Luna's not actually in the video, I've included some pictures and some video clips of her, but she's actually out with my mum. My mum's very kindly taken her out for a walk, so thanks mum if you're watching this. Hopefully you enjoyed and it was informative for you. If you think there is any other basically aspects of the ManxSPCA you want to know about, or anything like that, then it's something that I can think about in the future. I just want to quickly just obviously go back to the beginning. I mentioned that I was an animal care officer for the ManxSPCA and now I'm the PR and fundraiser. So my job itself is completely different now. So I don't have, well, I have some involvement with the animals, but the majority of what I do now is basically organising events, fundraising events, PR. I cover all the social media and basically for interviews or trying to basically think of new ways to fundraise. I get in touch with companies and find sponsorships for these events. It goes from car boot sales, it goes from bag packing, anything to do with charity fundraising. That is basically what I do, but all my focus goes on the ManxSPCA. So if you're wanting to know more about that, or if you want to see more than what I do, I actually have my own office now, which is quite nice. I've never had an office before. Or if you have any ideas of what you want to see next, then just leave me a comment and basically just go from there. There isn't a right or wrong answer or to being a dog owner in general, and I'm not suggesting that Huskies are better than any other breed. I'm not saying they're any worse. I can only just talk from experience and then basically just put it out there for what I think. Yeah, so I'll leave it there. Until next time, if you have any ideas of what you want to see next, then just let me know in the comments below. Okay, right, au revoir. Bye.